The paradox of the sovereign slave. I have spent the better part of my life in chains. I do not mean the iron shackles of a prisoner, though I have known the cages of the system. I mean the invisible, heavy chains of the world. I have been a slave to those who demanded my submission, a slave to those who drained my energy, and most shamefully, a slave to my own chaotic appetites. I chased the alluring traps of comfort, the validation of ego, and the fleeting high of the hustle. I thought this pursuit was freedom. I was wrong. It was the most abject slavery. I have come to realize, through the hard discipline of adversity, that there is no such thing as absolute untethered freedom. A human being will inevitably something. The only choice we have, the choice that defines our nobility, is what we serve. And I have made my vow. Never be a slave to anything but the moral principles, philosophies, and divine law that perpetuate your immortal soul. This is the paradox that transformed my existence. To become sovereign, I had to become a servant to the absolute. My first guide in breaking the old chains was Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was born a slave yet possessed a mind freer than the emperor. He taught me that slavery is not a condition of the body, but a condition of the will. When I feared the judgment of others, I was their slave. When I craved material possessions or the appearance of success, I was a slave to fortune. To be free, I had to ruthlessly distinguish between what is up to me and what is not. My integrity is up to me, the world's opinion is not. By serving only my own reasoned choice, my prohairesis, I severed the strings that external forces used to control my actions. But freedom from external control was not enough. I needed order within myself. This is where Plato's wisdom illuminated my path. He showed me that my soul was like a city at war with itself. I existed as a chaotic democracy of conflicting desires, ruled by appetite and impulse. To be a slave to one's own passions is the worst tyranny of all. I realized I had to enthrone the philosopher king within my own mind, the reason that governs the appetites. I had to align myself with forms, the eternal blueprints of justice and truth. I serve these forms not because they are comfortable, but because they are real. Everything else is merely a shadow on the cave wall, a distortion of authentic existence. This service to higher principles requires a demanding, yet liberating commitment. Immanuel Kant demonstrated to me that true autonomy is not simply doing what you want. That is merely animal instinct, another form of slavery to impulse. True autonomy is giving the law to yourself, embodying the categorical imperative. I must act only according to that maxim which I could will to become a universal law. I serve this moral law not out of fear of consequences, but out of reverence for the dignity inherent in rational nature. When I refuse to compromise my principles even at personal cost, I am not restricting myself. I am liberating myself from the chaos of moral inconsistency. I am building a kingdom of ends within my own consciousness, where rational beings are treated always as in themselves, never merely as means. And to what ultimate purpose do I bear this yoke? Plotinus and the Neoplatonists revealed this deeper dimension. My soul exists as an exile, a spark of the one, temporarily immersed in the multiplicity of material existence. If I serve only bodily desires, my identity perishes with my body. If I serve only worldly success, I dissolve into dust along with those achievements. But if I serve the divine law, I participate in the great return, the soul's journey back to its source. I am perpetuating my immortal soul by purifying the mirror of consciousness so it can perfectly reflect the divine light. This philosophical framework provides not just theoretical understanding, but practical guidance. The Stoics taught me to focus on what I can control, my judgments, intentions, and actions. Plato showed me the importance of inner harmony and alignment with transcendent ideals. Kant provided the rational structure for moral decision making that preserves human dignity. And Neoplatonism offered the metaphysical context that gives ultimate meaning to this disciplined life. I remain a flawed human being. I stumble in my practice. The temptations of lesser goods still circle, but I am no longer their slave. I have chosen my master. I bow only to truth, to goodness, to the law that preceded the formation of the cosmos. In this voluntary servitude to the highest principles, I have discovered my authentic freedom, the sovereignty that comes from aligning oneself with the eternal order. This is the paradox at the heart of human existence. Only by binding ourselves to what is truly good do we break the chains of what merely seems good. Only by serving the highest do we become masters of ourselves. Zerga, in synthesis with the philosophers,